and you join me on what is a beautiful morning here in the Lake District where autumn is in full swing. And I've come out to do something just a little bit different today because I'm not particularly mobile at the moment. My back is in horrendous pain, so I'm not very mobile. So I found this nice little spot where I should be able to get 2 or 3 really nice images. Over the last few years, I have been struggling with filters. Now, filters are a big part of landscape photography. You don't always need them. I don't use them for every shot, but I do use them a lot for my long exposure photography. And that's what I'm going to be doing a little bit of today because it's quite overcast. So I just think long exposure is a great tool for that. I like the juxtaposition it creates between the smoothed out water and clouds and then whatever object you've got in your scene. And here with all these autumnal trees where there's not much wind, it's going to be really nice, I think, to get some long exposures. Now, you need filters for that as well. So over the past few years, I've struggled with my filters because I've never found the ones that are good enough, really, that do the job in every way possible. It might be that they're a bit of a faff or they can produce a colour cast. I'm also very vocal about ND grads because although they can be useful, you can do pretty much the same thing by bracketing your images. And that's what I've always kind of pushed for. Partly because the filters are just so much of a faff to use. You've got to sort of slide them up and down and they slide through the bottom with some systems and then you get your fingerprints all over them. They're also not glass. A lot of them are made of plastic, so you're not quite getting the quality maybe that you would want. So a lot of reasons that I've not been very happy. But PolarPro have made contact with me. And they make filters and I've been using their filters on my drone for quite a long time and they are superb. So when they reached out to me and we made contact, I was quite excited because they told me that they have launched a new range of landscape photography filters called the PolarPro Summit. Now this is very exciting and they are actually now the sponsor of this video because they've sent me some of these filters to try out. And they are absolutely fantastic. We'll talk about them a little bit more in a minute, and I want to show you them, but we're going to do it in the course of actually doing some photography today and some long exposure photography. So yeah, let's get up off this rock if I can and take some photographs. Oh God, told you. Ugh. Okay, so I'm set up for my first shot and there's just a really beautiful clump of trees there with some fantastic autumnal colours. And because of the slightly yellowy colour of those trees, they're reflecting more light back than the rest of the scene. So it's acting as a really nice sort of focal point in the image. And then using the crag behind it to add some emphasis. And then I want to get the whole scene in. So I'm at about 65 millimeters at the distance I'm at the moment. And I'm cutting the island out that's behind you here, cutting that out of the shot, and then just getting a nice bit of the waterline in there as well. So it's an overall really nice scene. To do this, I want to use a bit of polarization and I'm going to use a long exposure filter, 6-stop filter, and I'm also going to use a grad because the grads with this PolarPro Summit system are fantastic. So I thought I'd just show you those. Although long term, I'm undecided whether I will use them yet because I do like to bracket. But this is the system here. And like many other filter systems, they come with this bracket. But this one is made of metal. So it just has a much higher quality feel to a lot of the other plastic systems that are out there. It attaches to the ring here that you can fit to all your different lenses just really easily onto there like that, and then you can tighten it up if you want to with that. But I like to have it a bit loose so it comes on and off easily and I can rotate it round like that. Right, with this system, the circular polarizer is actually built in. So you can remove that if you want to just by using that little notch there to take it out. I've got it in because I want to put a bit of polarization on for this shot. So let me just check that. You rotate the ring around here, just get that polarization just right. That's looking good. Wow, wind in my face a little bit and it's making my eyes water. I'm going to show you the grads because they are really high quality and they come in this nice little presentation pouch. Difference with these ones though, which I really like, is they have this sort of metal frame with a little notch here for you to hold on to, so I can touch it all around without ever getting my fingerprints on it. And I really, really like that. So it's just a case, like other systems, of just sliding that into place like that, tighten it off so it stays in place with that little notch there, and that's looking good. Right, I want to use a long exposure for this. So I think with the current conditions, 6 stops is probably going to be just right. This comes in the PolarPro Summit landscape photography kit, and you just take it out. Again, it's very similar to last time, but just slide it in behind the grad, and that seals nicely into place. It's got that very certain metallic feel to it again. It seals all around, so there's no light leaking in to spoil your long exposure. Right, let's just get my settings right. I think a 30-second exposure time is going to be perfect for this. So I'm all set. I can still focus with this lens on and just go ahead and shoot that. So yeah, that looks really good. There's a little bit of movement in the sky, not too much. I've smoothed the water out a little bit. And yeah, that little cluster of trees looks nice, which sort of leads us round the little valley there. That looks really good. I'm happy with that for a first shot of the day. Okay, so I'm set up for my second shot of the day, and this time I'm focusing on that island there that you can see in the background, and it's just a fantastic little focus point for this frame because it's an interesting island and it's just covered in those beautiful, beautiful autumnal trees that are just, there's a mixture of a bit of green, a bit of yellow, a bit of orange, and then I think I can see a couple of silver birches in there as well, which is just making a really nice subject for this image. So I'm in at 70mm just to fill the frame with it as much as possible, but to still capture some of the surrounding mountains as well. What would be perfect is if there was a little bit of golden light on there, but I'm not too fussed about that because the long exposure I think can introduce that added ethereal feel, which just adds the interest that maybe we're losing a little bit because of the flat light. That's what I like about long exposure. So this time I am at f8. I'm at 1/5 of a second for the exposure time. For my reference exposure time, I'm at ISO 100. I'm using the grad filter again just to reduce the highlights a little bit. I get asked a lot actually what I normally do when I'm not using grads to manage the dynamic range in my long exposure images when I'm using screw-in filters. Now, I don't find it a problem because with this camera, and with most modern cameras actually, if you expose for the sky, in conditions like this where the light is flat and long exposure works really well, if you expose for the sky, you'll be able to lift those shadows in post-processing to still make it work. And that's what I do on virtually all of my long exposure images, because I'm testing out this kit today and because I really like these ND grads with this metal frame. I'm going to use that. For this one though, I'm going to use a 10 stop filter to really smooth out that water and get some movement going in these clouds. I think it's just going to make for a really nice image. So if I just get the case out, this is the ND 1010 stop filter. Whoa, take it out the pouch. And these filters are just fantastic quality. They are made of quartz glass, similar to some of the other filters in PolarPro's range. They're top quality. They feel quality. Glass is often better than any sort of resin or plastic filters. They're just high quality. Don't produce any color cast, with my tests so far, just the ooze quality. They really do. So I'm just going to slide that in. Again, it makes that nice seal so no light is going to sneak in and spoil my long exposure. And then because I'm going over a couple of minutes, because I'm using a DSLR, to cover the eyepiece so no light creeps in there. So I've got this one here, this sort of makeshift DIY eyepiece, because I lost the one that comes with the camera and you can't seem to buy them anywhere. So I've just stuck a bit of tape over another eyepiece. So I just slide that on. It doesn't fit very well because it's cheap and third party, but get on, that's it. Right, that's in place. I'm just focusing on the cluster of trees and autofocus off, stabilization off so I don't get any movement. F8 bulb mode. The time is set to 3 minutes 25, 2-second timer, going through that workflow, bang, there we go, 3 minutes 25 seconds later, we can take a look at that image. I've also put a little bit of polarization on as well to take some of the sheen off the water. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I think it's going to be good. Right, so the wind has picked up a fair amount now, but we've still got some stuff going on. So I have now, so first shot was that way, second shot was that way. I'm now 90 degrees from the last two shots and shooting straight across the lake because I think the trees are just fantastic. Such beautiful colours. We've got a little bit more light now as well. And they're catching that light really nicely. That's then contrasted against the slightly darker mountain behind it. So what I'm going to do is just make it all about that colour in my image. So I've not got any sky actually in this one, just that backdrop of the mountain. So I don't need an ND grad this time. I still have the polarizer on to take as much of the sheen off that water as possible because the light's coming in from kind of the side of the frame. I just want to take all that sheen off. And then I'm doing a 16:9 to make sure I get all of that colour in that little band there. That's just going to work really nicely. I'm really happy with the composition. Just all about that colour, a bit of water, the island, and then the mountain as the backdrop. It looks great. So I'm at f6.3, 1/4 of a second, ISO 100. And I'm going to use a 6-stop filter this time just to take a little bit of the movement off the waters and then just slide it in. So because I'm just using a 6-stop, I can adjust my shutter speed on here and still see what I'm doing. So yeah, sort of 15-second exposure I think is going to work really well. I'm going to wait for a calm moment in the wind, which is about now. So 2-second timer, fire that off. I'm focusing on the island that's closest to me. Just hope for nice still conditions for 15 seconds so there's limited movement in the trees, and that should look really good with that bit of light coming in from the side and hitting those trees. Yeah, it's looking really nice. How long have we got? There we go, that was 15 seconds. I just think by the time I've edited that, I think what I'll do is darken the mountain in the background, put all the emphasis on those trees, just bring that back out. The water's smoothed out nicely, just to remove the distraction of the ripples in the water, but there's still some detail in there as well. I am really happy with that shot. That's going to work really nicely. Very, very nice. Yes. Now, like I said, this video is sponsored by PolarPro with these Summit filters. Now, these are undoubtedly the best filters I've ever used, and I think they're the best filters I've ever seen as well. It's where other systems I find can be faffy, these are not, partly due just to the sheer build quality. The build quality is so good with the metal construction, the precision, the way these, particularly these long exposure filters or ND filters, just slot so nicely into place, make a really nice seal. It's just fantastic. And in terms of image quality, they don't make any color cast whatsoever. There's also an ND 100K filter as well, which is a 16-stop filter, and that is also fantastic. So I'm really chuffed I've now found these filters, and they will be coming with me in my bag pretty much everywhere I go. I might not always use the ND grads, but this system's really nice. It's convenient. It fits on all my lenses as well, which is very, very, very nice. They're not the cheapest filters in the world, but you get what you pay for a lot of the time, and these are about as good as it gets. So for the demanding landscape photographer like you will not be sorry with these filters. I shall put a link down below for you to check out the PolarPro Summit filters. I've just finished filming a tutorial for the RAW room, which You're talking about isolating trees from your background, and I've got a fantastic little shot from back there as well. But yeah, it's been a great day. Back is killing me, absolutely killing me. I shall see you on another one very, very soon. I hope my back will be better so we can be a bit more mobile, maybe get up some of these mountains as well. Anyway, I need to put the camera down now because it's hurting a lot. See ya.